is the Retevis RB27B two-way FRS radio.
Hey, good afternoon everybody. This is Bob KK4DIV with 73 Outdoors. Today I'd like to do something a little bit different. We're not going to be talking about ham radio, but you know me, I love everything that has to do with radio. Today I'm going to be talking about these little guys. Retevis was kind enough to send me these two radios to do a quick review on and give you my thoughts about them. These are the Retevis RB27B radios. They are FRS. That means you don't have to have a license to operate these radios. And it may be a good option for family members or those that don't have ham radio license to be able to communicate with one another when you may be around the neighborhood or out on the road or maybe even camping. But first, let's talk about the price of these radios. On the Retevis.com website, these radios have a list price of $48.99, but currently, as of today, September 14th, 2021, they are running $34.29, which is 30% off. Not a bad deal. Let's talk about the features of these radios. These radios have 10 different call alerts, and what that means is you can set up a special call alert for each radio or maybe each person in your party that you can send that special alert out to the group, and the group will know who that call is coming from. They also have 258 privacy tones. 50 of those are CTCSS tones and 208 DCS codes that you can program into these radios so you won't be bothered by other people's transmissions that may not be in your group. These radios do have a scan function. That means you can scan through the FRS channels, and you can it will stop on any activity on there, so you can monitor all 22 FRS channels if you so desire. They have dual watch, which means you have two different lines on here, so you can dual watch two different channels at the same time. Now they are not dual receive, so if you're receiving something on one channel, say the A channel, you're not going to be able to pick up what's going on the B channel. But in a situation where there's no transmissions going on, it will dual watch both channels. There is Vox capability on this, and that means you don't have to press the push to talk. So if you had like a headset in your ear or something like that, you could set up Vox, so that when you start talking, the radio will start picking up your voice and transmitting that. There are voice prompts, so as you're going through the menus, you can hear the different prompts. So as you go through the menus,
backlight selection, confirm. B prompt, confirm.
So there are voice prompts in here, so it will talk to you as you go through the menu and even as you turn on the radio.
Welcome.
It will tell you what channel you're on. There is a small flashlight built into this radio. You can see that there. It will give you a solid on. It will give you a flashing LED, and then you click it one more time to turn it off. It's not a very strong flashlight, so don't expect you to be able to be out in the woods and be able to see what's going on. But to have something like this that might be in your pocket, in your purse, clipped on your belt, maybe a shirt pocket, if you're looking for a set of keys or something small, or maybe even a larger flashlight in the dark, having a little flashlight like this could be very valuable to have. These radios have a 1500 milliamp hour battery that clips right into the back, and the belt clip is attached to the battery. One thing I do like about this radio is it does have FM radio built into it, so you can listen to FM broadcast stations, as well as NOAA weather radio channels built right in and pre-programmed into the radio. These do ship with a desktop charging base that the radio sits right into, and the cool thing about this base is it does have a USB cord. It is permanently attached in here, but this USB cord goes into their little Retevis wall wart that is shipped as well, and that's how you charge the radio. The other cool thing about this radio is it does have USB charging through a USB-C type charging port on the back of the radio. And lastly, on the features of this radio, it does have a Kenwood style accessory port, so you can use your headset or a speaker mic or something like that with this radio as well. And that goes hand in hand with that Vox capability this radio has. Very nice to have that capability on this radio. Now let's talk a little bit about my experience with these two radios. I took this radio and jumped into the truck, and my wife stayed at the house here, and I went about a mile, just a little over a mile, to the local Family Dollar store, about a mile away, and we were able to communicate fairly well with each other, and very well actually with each other, up until about that point I got to the Family Dollar. Now keep in mind, she was in the house. I was in my truck. Lots of obstructions between here and there. There's houses, trees, the metal body of the truck, the concrete structure of this house. This house is a concrete block house. So lots of barriers between these two radios, and they worked pretty well up until about a mile away, which I thought was pretty impressive considering all the obstructions that were between the two radios. Once I got back in the truck at the Family Dollar and on the way back to the house, it didn't take long before we were communicating very well again with each other. And keep in mind, she was inside the house, I was inside my truck. Now, out on the open road, or maybe out in open field or somewhere where there's a lot less obstructions, you can expect a much greater range from these radios. And they even talk about that in this manual, and I didn't cover that, but this is a great manual. It's well written. It talks about range, and I'm going to read that to you real quick here. Your series radios are designed to give you maximum range under optimum conditions. And that's the key with these little FRS radios with the little antenna that you have here. Under optimum conditions. You can expect maximum range, and they don't talk about what the maximum range is here in this manual, with little or no sight obstruction. Medium range under partial obstruction to line of sight, and short range with major obstruction to line of sight. And I would consider the test we did from being inside the house to me driving down the road, I would say that's probably major obstruction going on there. Concrete block walls, metal body of the truck, and all kinds of houses and trees in between us. So in the worst case scenario, I would say that you can expect about a mile coverage out of these radios. And I think the test I put it through would be a worst case scenario. But what do I like about these radios? Well, I like the fact that they are very small. It's a small radio. You can put this in a shirt pocket, clip it on your belt, keep it in your purse, keep it in a backpack, clip it on a backpack, or maybe even keep it in an emergency kit if you need two-way communications and you might not be a ham, or you may have the need to communicate with non-hams. This would be a fantastic radio to have. It's small, lightweight, doesn't take up much room. Another thing I like about this is the FM radio. You can keep up to date with news, what's going on around you, and entertainment. You can listen to music with this as well. So I like the fact that it has a FM radio built in. What I really like about this radio is it has NOAA weather channels built in, so you can keep informed with weather events that might be coming through your area as well with this radio. And lastly, the thing that I just love the most about this radio Yes, it does come with a desktop charger. I'm not a fan of these. I think they're great if you're at the house, but a lot of times I'm using a radio when I'm away from the house. The fact that these are able to be charged with USB-C, I think, is a fantastic feature and a great benefit to everybody that will be using these radios. You can plug this radio in with a USB-C cord, charge it in your vehicle, charge it off of a battery pack. Lots of different options that you have to charge this radio when you have a feature such as that, USB-C. I wish every radio could be charged with USB-C, and I think going forward, every radio should have a USB-C port on it so you can charge it. Whether it be an FRS radio, a GMRS radio, or even a ham radio. I think to have a universal way to charge your radio such as USB-C is just the way to go. You don't have to worry about carrying oddball chargers and this, that, and the other with you. One cable, USB-C. It's not hard. Love that about this radio. So let's talk a little bit about use of these radios. Who would this radio be for? Well, it could be for families that might want around the neighborhood communication, or if you've got maybe friends next door, or you do have, your family members might live close by in the neighborhood, or anybody you want to communicate with that might be around the neighborhood. These radios would be great for that. Keep track of the kids around the neighborhood, give your kid one of these, and say, hey, keep this radio with you if you get in trouble or need some help, or you're over at Jim Bob's house, whatever you're doing, let me know. Keep in touch with this radio. I think this is a great alternative to giving a child a cell phone. A radio like this to keep track of where the kids are around the neighborhood as they're playing with friends is a good idea. Next thing this radio might be good for would be camping communications around the campsites, around if you're hiking, things like that. Now keep in mind of the range factor, so you're not going to be able to hike long distances and keep track of one another, but around the campsite, around the campground, something like that, again, keep track of your kids or maybe even your wife or husband. This radio would be a fantastic radio for that. Again, it's small, it can easily get clipped to your side. You don't really think about it because it doesn't weigh much. Put it in a shirt pocket, put it in your pocket, clip it to a backpack, whatever you want to do. This radio would be good for that. Another thing it might be good for, again, if you're not a ham radio operator, would be car-to-car communications if you're traveling with a group of people. Now, yes, you are going to have limited range, and this is pretty much a line-of-sight radio with minimum of instructions, but, if you're just a few cars away from one another, this, that, and the other, this would be a good radio to have to travel and keep track of one another. Say, hey, we got to take a bathroom break, or we're hungry, let's stop at the next exit, that sort of thing. This radio would be great for that. So that's what I've got on these two radios. Would I recommend these radios? I've played around with these radios for, gosh, it's been a week, 2 weeks since I received them. I've kind of tested them out, talked around the neighborhood, did that, what I would call a stress test, to see how the radios work if one person's inside a house and the other person is driving down the road. Yes, I would recommend these radios to the people that, like I said, might be camping, need to do car-to-car communications. They don't want to spend a whole lot of money, keep track of kids around the neighborhood. Yes, in those situations, these radios would be great for that. Now, it's not going to replace your high-powered GMRS radios here in the US. It's not going to replace your ham radios. You can just get so much more range with those types of radios. But like I said, for around the campsite, nearby car-to-car communication, keep track of kids around the neighborhood. These radios are fantastic, and yes, I do recommend them. $34.29 currently on the Retevis website. It's 30% off. Regular price $48.99. These are well-built radios. I like the features. I like how small they are. I love the USB charging. I love the loud audio that these radios produce. I think this is a very good option for people that might need this type of radio. So that's it, everybody. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I hope you got something from this video and maybe gave you another option to consider if you're looking for two-way communications around the neighborhood with your family or friends. I'd like to thank you for watching the video. If you like what you see, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, and we will catch you outside in a future video. 73, everybody. From 73 Outdoors, this is Bob, KK4DIV. Bye-bye.